Good day, everyone. I am Tashna Rajasekharan, and I'll be presenting about the four external factors influencing organizational performance and how to overcome it. Before we get into the external factors, what is organizational performance? Well, organization performance is defined as the actual output of a company measured against its intended output. When we break down those terms, the actual output is the organization's outcome that is measured by different perspectives such as financial performance, product market performance, and shareholder performance. Financial performance is referred to the profits and return on investments. Product market performance is the evaluation on sales and share markets of the company. And shareholder performance is referred to the total shareholder in return. The intended outputs, as I mentioned before, are more towards the goals and the objectives of the organization which they initially had. By this, the current organization outcomes in terms of efficiency, market value, profitability will be compared to the goals and objectives. By this, we can see that the entire organization performance of all personnel who are the members in the organization or known as the employers or employees plays a very big role in producing an accumulated outcome for the company. So the organization performance is the ability of a group of individuals to achieve a certain specific goals. This means that the outcome is dependent on internal and external factors. Speaking of factors, what does external factors mean? External factors are the uncontrollable aspects that are capable of affecting and impacting an organization, whether it is positive or a negative impact. The capacity of an organization to detect and adapt to changes in the external environment is very important to its stability and its profitability. Thus, the external factors can influence the organization's performance. There will be four external factors that I will discuss, which are the technological factor, economic factor, political factor, as well as the legal factors. The first external factor that could impact an organizational performance is technological factor. In this era, technology has been growing, evolving, and developing rapidly. It has never failed to prove to the society that something better and advanced could be invented. Technology could have a potential impact on its organization's operation, and that could be critical to its long term future. Technological factors can be divided into two areas, which are manufacture and infrastructure. If organizations tend to implement the new updates of the technology in the production, therefore results such as gaining market share as well as achieving strong competitive advantage could be seen. The implementation includes activities such as automation, um, improve quality of parts and end product, incentives, significant cost savings, and use of outsourcing to control costs and offer greater flexibility. In this factor, not only providing equipment is important in order to incorporate the production, but the knowledge, techniques, and application also need to be acquired in handling this equipment as well. So, by this, how does the a technological factor influence the organization performance? As an example, the aviation and airline industry holds a very big business. By this, adoption of modern technologies are really necessary in the aviation sector. This is because aviation sector has the quickest mode of transport for both passengers as well as cargo. Therefore, it is the economy's most significant method of transportation intermediate. Let's say the airline industry decides to increase the use of computers programs, technological trends and innovations, increasing speeds in producing units, smart systems, improvement in artificial intelligence and diversification. It shows that it can automatically lift up the operational efficiency. As an example, e-commerce in the aviation industry allows passengers to book their tickets directly on the airline websites without any agent involved. So this shows that the airline industry incorporates the technology such as the system that they implemented in their business, and also it allows the airline industry to reduce their costs in giving commissions to their agents. So from this, the organization performance can be seen through the cost reduction that impacts their growth and efficiency of business in terms of return on profit. The next factor would be economic factors influencing the organizational performance. The economy plays a role in our everyday lives. Under these economic factors, there are economics, inflation rate, taxes, interest rates, exchange rates, trading regulation, and excise duties to be considered in influencing the organization itself. This factor shows how economic conditions shift supply and demand to directly affect a company. This includes economic growth or decline and changes in interest and inflation rates. So basically, it depends on the country's economy that is out of organization's hand. Therefore, when a recession happens, which is a slowdown of economic activity in the region, it directly impacts the sales of organization. When recession happens, the customer tend to lose their purchasing power, which might force the company to drop their good prices to sustain their business. As a result, the company will experience a low profitability range. On the other hand, on the good side, we can see that companies are also positively impacted when the economy is good and people are able to spend and invest more money. As a result, the organization performance of the company can be measured there. As an example, I would say that during this pandemic time, this early COVID-19 pandemic, many countries underwent lockdown that directly affected the businesses of airlines and hotels. Literally, no one was traveling, which caused the airlines and hotels to drastically reduce services, lay off employees, and also cut prices. Now that the economy is reopening and recovering and people are traveling again, hotel and airline prices are up as well. So the whole idea here is the economy. When the economy is bad, the organizational performance gets affected negatively in terms of financial, product market, and also shareholder performance. How do organizations overcome such issues like this? Well, organizations need to seek to create strategies that can be modified to changes in the economic situation and, in particular, the financial aspects of the macroeconomic situation. This means companies will have to adapt to the economic situation in order to revive the organizational performance. Organizations need to look out at the impact of globalization, taxation issues, and potential implication of profitability as well as any trade tariffs and embargoes. The third factor would be the political factors in influencing organizational performance. Political factors include government attitudes to employment, consumer protection, the environment, taxation, trade restrictions, and societal reforms, as well as the burden of bureaucracy and the level of corruption. The government may play an important role in protecting the local economy and promoting organizational growth. Political factors play a role in the extent to which a government may influence the economy and thereby impact organizations within a certain industry. This includes implementation of government policy, political stability, trade, and tax policies. By this, the organizational policy and regulation are the primary tools for the government to intervene and affect the organizational growth. The whole idea here is that the government has the power to impose new changes such as employment laws, consumer protection laws, environmental regulations, taxation regulations, trade restrictions or reforms, and health and safety requirements. The performance of an organization is better if the business environment is well known in terms of stability of the company's operation. By this, the stability of the government also shows the environment of the company that eventually determines the organization performance as well. As an example, if the organization experiences unstable politics in one nation, therefore it can negatively impact the organizational performance. How can this occur? Well, when a nation faces a change in power of a new government, investment policies tend to be altered or changed by the government, which gives a threat to the local and international investors, which makes them do not have any confidence in putting money in the organization. Also, political instability involving activities such as strikes, riots in the nations would interrupt the daily businesses operation where stoppages of work would have to be done. Therefore, this shows that there is no smooth operations can be done. Therefore, the sales and profits of an organization get affected as well. Moreover, from an investment point of view, no individual or organization will want to commit funds for future gain if the investing situation is unstable. This shows that the adoption of power of proper finance and exchange rate policies, as well as the establishment of a stable economic environment, are very important for encouraging the flow of foreign investment and benefits to the host country. When this happens, it automatically affects the organizational performance positively. The fourth external factor would be legal factors influencing organizational performance. Legal factors include implementation or changes to legislation that impacts the industry in areas such as employment, access to materials, quotas, resources, imports, exports, taxations, and health and safety. The existence of law is used to check an organization's obedience to laws that applies to all aspects of operations, such as consumers' protection, employees' welfare, waste disposal, and how their earnings and investment will be taxed. All of these factors influence how an organization performs and have financial consequences that must be considered when developing a company plan. There are several laws that need to be taken by an organization. For example, there are organizational laws, there are consumer laws, there are employment laws, there are security laws, and health and safety at the workplace. How can laws influence organizational performance? If you look at this point of view, if the organization understands, takes accounts, and considers those laws, less complications can happen. Each law has its own role. For example, I would say organizational law function as a type of property law, allowing for changes in rights that binds third parties. Without the organization legislation, the organization could not be created as a legal entity able to hold title to assets in its own rights. Employment laws is the collection of laws and rules that regulate the relationship between employees and employers. The laws governs how much a company is required to pay an employee for their labor. They provide basic standards for employee working conditions. To, re- to relate to one of these laws, when government imposes laws on safety and health rights of employees in the working environment of the organization, it means that the workers must be able to carry out duties in a safe and secure working environment that it is free of danger. This means health and safety practices prevents accidents in organization as well. So when an organization neglects health and safety practices, therefore it can negatively impact an organization performance. It can be affected by the interruption and reduction of production quality. Another point of view we can look at it as the why organization neglect towards the changes in law is because it might cause more financial expenses that do not meet the company's plan. However, if this action is observed, it may have much further consequences faced by the organization that eventually impacts their organization performance. From this, how do organization overcome this issue? Because organization should recognize and be aware of the laws implemented beforehand to avoid any complications. In conclusion, the measurement of actual output of an organization against its intended output is known as organizational performance. Therefore, we have seen several external factors such as technological, economic, political, and legal factors that that are out of organizations' hand to control. Each of it has its own role, and organization performance can be impacted negatively or positively accordingly. That's all from me. Thank you.